So this is my honest take working in tech sales as an AE, going from £16,000 in earnings to 200,000 in the space of 6 or 7 years. So sharing my story in depth, kind of in full for the first time, trying to help maybe at least one other person, give some inspiration or at least insight into what it takes to go through this career and what it takes to kind of reach the elite level of being an AE in that top 1% of closers. Hopefully it's insightful. It's certainly a very exciting and interesting one, and hopefully it's interesting in any case. My journey into sales started as a lot of people's does, falling into tech sales. I got back from some traveling after uni and I needed a job. And one of my close friends was working somewhere and he said, "Hey, look, we're always hiring, just bring your CV in." So I did exactly that. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into. Just chucked my CV in and knew that it was a way to get a bit of money coming in. I was just living at home. Turned out I fell into cold calling and telesales. So effectively we were selling mobile phone contracts to business owners, calling up accountants, hairdressers, builders, plumbers, electricians while they were on the job, trying to flog them a mobile phone contract. It was all closed in one call. So if it went well, which it very rarely did, you would go through like a 30-40 minute conversation, then pass them over to the legal team where they'd have the terms and conditions read out to them before putting in their credit card details. So in hindsight, a very difficult sell, very difficult thing to do, to first of all interrupt these people while they're earning their keep, and then having to try and go through that whole process. But yeah, I made 200 cold calls a day. It was 2-hour blocks of cold calling, one after the other with a 15-minute break in between each, and obviously a break for lunch. So 8 hours straight of cold calling every single day. But the good thing was it built a ton of reps, and because that was the entire lifeblood of the organization, they put a ton of training and put a lot of emphasis into upskilling. But yeah, that initial feedback and that really high volume of reps massively accelerated my confidence on the phone and my ability to communicate with different kinds of people, and of course to handle rejection, because the rejection was brutal at times. As you can imagine, some of these people were pretty rude when you caught them in the middle of something and were trying to sell them something. So that was my first sales role, and I did that for 6 months. I then moved to London and I got my first SDR job. So I applied for SDR roles through recruiters. I think it's one of the best ways to land a role if you're less experienced. In the end, was able to land a BDR role at a company called Botify, which is a French-founded SEO company, so search engine optimization. I started there in February of 2019 and did really well. I hit the target, was 15 meetings per month. I hit my target every single month. It went really well, and again, I got a lot more exposure to senior leadership. So I was cold calling CMOs, heads of SEO, heads of digital marketing, and often selling into enterprise companies as well, because it was an enterprise SEO solution. So speaking to some of the biggest brands in retail, in publication, and all this kind of stuff. So that was real exposure to that kind of seniority, and realizing that, hey, like, even though I'm 23 or whatever I was, like, I need to be on the same level as a CMO or whoever a CEO even, and holding my own and being able to do that and getting a lot of confidence from that as well. So that was another kick on, I'd say, in terms of how to excel in the world of B2B sales. I also got a lot of great fundamental practices around how to be a BDR in that phase as well, around optimizing my day, getting to the office early, making progress by 10 a.m. And if you're not proud of what you've done by 10 a.m., then, you've not done the day well, kind of thing. So really seizing the day and really approaching things with like productivity, using tools like Outreach and SalesLoft and Sales Navigator and LinkedIn for the first time in a really meaningful way, in a really thoughtful way, an intentional way. Really foundational stuff that I think a lot of BDRs go through. But we weren't exposed to the business, we weren't exposed to the senior leadership, we weren't exposed to like how things were ticking. And that was what I was really craving, and what I was really wanting in that early stage of my career in particular, was exposure to exactly that. In the end, after a few months, I was doing well, but I got introduced to the co-founders of ReachDesk. So through somebody who'd interviewed me when I was trying to move up to London, who really liked me, but I didn't get the job with them, he introduced me to friends of his who were founders of this new company called ReachDesk, because he thought that I would be a really good fit for them. So I was like doing well at Botify, but because I'd liked this guy previously, and there were these small doubts about the company, I was like, hey, I'll take the call, I'll take the phone call. So had a phone call with this guy, Alex, who was the co-founder, and we spoke for like 30-40 minutes on the phone. I remember walking up and down the stairwell trying to hide from my team in the WeWork that we were in, And he talked me through the idea of ReachDesk and talked about this big addressable market and this big upsell and this big potential of this company. And it sounded really interesting. So I met him for beers shortly after that. And we met in a local pub, and I think strategically he got me slightly pissed. I had a couple of pints after work, and he pulled up his laptop and he showed me this early stage version of the ReachDesk platform, which was pretty basic, but I immediately saw the value. And it was basically a corporate gifting SaaS solution. So a way of kind of through your CRM sending gifts to prospects, to high-end prospects who you really want to break through to, which I saw as, of big value as a BDR who was trying to break through to these people. So I bought into them, I bought into the vision, I bought into the idea, and I bought into the idea of, having this, direct exposure to senior leaders within the company. So that was a big pull to me. At the same time, it was a really tough decision to make because, I was doing well. At the beginning, we didn't have an office. We were working out of a cafe in East London in a kind of lobby or foyer of like an office building, and the Wi-Fi would go down, and then we'd go to the local Ibis hotel and hop onto the Wi-Fi there. And, the founders and the two of us just sat there working, and it was real exposure to, okay, cool, this is what it takes to build a company. The effort, the focus, the dedication, the hours that they were putting in, and the real just like laser focus they had on the task at hand was such an eye-opener to me. And then beyond that, how good they were actually at their jobs as well. So seeing Alex, for example, on the sales calls for the first time, I remember being in awe really of like how he controlled the conversation, his tone, his narrative, the way he asked questions, the way he kind of covered different topics throughout the call in such a seamless way, and the way he set the next step. It was like effortless, and it was so masterful, and I just thought, wow, how amazing is that? And that was what I was able to try and learn from and emulate. So at ReachDesk, the first 6 months were pre-COVID. So I joined in September 2019, and so this was before remote working. We were all 5 days a week in the office. The company grew slowly but surely. We didn't have any customers, we didn't have any revenue, we didn't have really like case studies or anything like that in the early days. And we just went to events, we just cold called, and we created all these amazing sequences, and we just made it happen. We created a lot of social content on LinkedIn when basically nobody was making content on LinkedIn. And we made a lot of noise for ourselves, and we made kind of a bit of a name for ourselves. The first 6 months was pre-COVID. We were going to loads of events, and marketing was normal, and lots of marketing companies spend money on events. And then effectively COVID kicked in, right? February, we all caught onto the news. March, everyone went into lockdown. And then all of a sudden, this corporate gifting SaaS solution where we'd only been sending gifts to people's physical offices because you would just Google where the office was and you could send the gift there. All of a sudden, nobody was in the offices. And we were thinking, hey, like, is this company even going to survive? Our founders were very honest about it shortly after, where they were questioning that themselves. Like, is it even possible for this business to survive? What we were luckily able to do was spin up these landing pages where you could send it to the prospect and they could put their own information in. And that actually then accelerated our growth, because all of a sudden because of COVID, so many of the conventional marketing channels were just shut down, and everyone was just piling onto online ads and webinars and stuff like this, and it all became extremely saturated online. And all of this, millions and tens of millions of the big marketing companies would spend on physical events was just all wiped out in a day, in a week. And so we were able to spin up some messaging and really, contextualize our outreach to that, to say, hey, look, lots of marketers we speak with have been putting lots of money into events, and now all of a sudden they can't, and it's become very saturated online. ReachDesk is a situation where you can is a platform that enables you to still connect with your most important prospects and customers physically, and the way we can do that is with corporate gifting. And so that was the messaging we lent into, and it just took off. It got so much traction, and again, it was just like all we had to do was funnel this huge pot of budget and just funnel a little bit of it to us, and it was just like boom. And so the company grew from 10, 11 employees that it was around that March time over the next year and a half to like 100, 120 employees. So when we came out of COVID, we had a game of rounders in the summer of 2021, the following year. And like we finally got to all meet each other for the first time. And the company had grown literally from like 10 people to like over 100 people. And we had this huge rounders game in the middle of London at Regent's Park. Yeah, it was incredible. And to witness that growth and to see the company expand and to see the company culture change and evolve month by month by month and just grow so quickly was incredible. And on a personal level, I went from BDR. So I spent, the rest of that calendar year as a BDR. I booked $4 million of pipeline. So $4 million worth of meetings. $800,000 of it closed many of the biggest labels in B2B tech, across cybersecurity, sales technology, HR technology, marketing technology, and so on. And yeah, we had a lot of success. So then I got promoted to AE on Christmas Eve of December 2021, as COVID was beginning to ease for the first time. It then kind of came back in the following year. I started as an account executive as an AE in January of 2021, 5 years ago. It was really hard. The first year as an AE was very, very difficult. Luckily, I was getting promoted internally, so I already knew the product, I already knew the audience, the landscape, the pain points, the competitors, and so on. But learning life as an AE is extremely difficult, and I found that the adaptation very, very tough. Going from being a BDR and SDR where you can just make a ton of cold calls, and if you're behind target, you can just put in loads of activity and be really busy for 2 days, and then all of a sudden you've caught back up. As an AE, you can't do that. You know, you'll be behind target, you won't have the pipeline, and you'll look at your Q1, Q2 target, and you'll be like, I'm never going to get there. Like, I've got like deals to get me like a quarter of the way there, you know? And then you have to realize, wow, I'm going to miss target. And then you have to go to work the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day for months at a time sometimes, knowing that you're not going to hit target. And I found that very, very difficult, very frustrating, very, very challenging. And I tried to like work myself out of the hole, and it kind of overworked, I think, in that first year, and ultimately found myself burnt out towards the end of the year, where I was still in a position where I just missed target. And I missed target 10 months out of 12 in that first calendar year. Found it very, very challenging. What I did throughout that time was I did a lot of analysis, a lot of close loss deal reviews, where I basically picked apart all of my close loss deals, and I said, look, what have I done wrong here? Once the dust is settled, let's look at the facts of the deal. How many people was I multi-threaded with? Like, how many calls did I have? Who was I speaking to? What competitors were in there? How long did the deal run for? What was my medpick scores like? And so on. So I basically like build these huge spreadsheets, and I would analyze it all manually. And it took me hours and days to do this analysis once every quarter. But what that did was I was able to teach myself what I was doing wrong, and I was able to then implement lessons and learnings and practices that were like, okay, cool, this is how I stop making those mistakes consistently moving forward. And so in my second year, 2022, I then gained traction. So I hit my target in the December, and then the following 9 months, I then hit my target 9 months in a row within the calendar year of 2022. Just boom, 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 just overachieving. And I finished the year as the top AE globally out of a team of 20 reps, closed $1.2 million in revenue, hit my target 10 months out of 12, was listed in the UK's top 100 salespeople by Wiser in a kind of industry-wide poll that was submitted by managers. Real zero to hero experience as an AE, and was a real roller coaster to experience that. And again, the company continued to grow throughout that time as well. So we went from like 100 employees all the way up to like 200 employees during that time as well. So it was crazy. So then basically I was like, cool, I'm good at sales now. I'm really, really good. I earned, I think, about £160,000 as a 27-year-old. One of my commission checks was like £42,000, which is like well over 50K for 1 quarter. The earnings were crazy, and yeah, we were doing extremely well. And then the following year, the company struggled. So as the market shook, the economy kind of took a bit of a wobble after that. There was the Silicon Valley Bank thing where the bank collapsed, and a lot of the funding dried up, and the interest rates went higher, and basically companies didn't expand as quickly as they were, especially tech companies. And so we were only selling to tech companies, and we were very much kind of single tracked in that sense, and that the company struggled as a result of that. And so 2023 was a much harder year, where basically people were like, we're not spending any money on marketing, let alone this gifting thing. So that was really, really challenging. But what I did was I trained a lot of the AEs throughout that time as well. So as all these new AEs came into the company, I realized they were all making the same mistakes that I did when I was a new AE. And so effectively I said to them, look, like, I know these mistakes. I've made them 100 times over. I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, and I've made that mistake, more times than I care to count. But here's how you can fix it. And so I did a lot of internal training and a lot of upskilling with the AEs there to help them overcome those challenges, but also to pull the collective experiences and the collective insights from the whole team. So I ran these internal sales meetings for an hour every week or every other week, where I'd basically be talking about one topic each week, and I would just like kind of mediate the session and pull from everyone's best ideas and just say, hey, look, Jimmy, you did that amazing thing. How did you do that? Tash, that was that crazy deal that you closed recently. Like, what was the talk track you had with the CEO? And then I was literally writing this all down. I've got to this day this long document of dozens and dozens of pages of notes of all the best ideas, and that then effectively formed these slides that I created internally then. And there was this structure that started to appear, because it was like all these kind of common things kept cropping up, like these specific skills that like we need to do these well, and this effectively became these 12 ideas, these 12 fundamentals, and that then effectively became this course that I then ended up turning into the business which I now run and I now train AEs using. But yeah, to wrap up my time at Reachdesk, I realized after 4 years that kind of that chapter was coming to a close, and I wanted that new challenge. And one thing I really wanted was to test myself in a more enterprise environment. So I'd had that exposure to startup world. We'd grown into like a lower mid-market kind of size company nearly. We got to $20 million revenue, which was, good size, still startup, but like, I was ready for that big jump and to test myself in that like elite sales environment. I joined Monday.com. I got the job through a recruiter at Monday who actually reached out to me, and I loved the interview process there. I interviewed at a number of different other tech companies, and the interview at Monday, I just loved it. The two ladies that interviewed me at the beginning, like there was such rapport, there was such a click, there was such a great energy, and they really cared about me and they really like valued what I was doing, and they asked me some questions, some really thought-provoking questions, and like it was just such an amazing interview. And then I'd go to other interviews with sales directors who were just, snobby and really aloof and really giving bad vibes and just kind of like trying to catch me out and stuff like that. So I ended up really having my heart set on Monday. Luckily I got the job, and then I joined there as an AE, and effectively I was selling Monday's CRM. So as opposed to Monday's core offering, I was selling a new product which was competing with the likes of Pipedrive, HubSpot, Salesforce. So it was a new product. I was the first AE in the UK to be selling that product specifically. I think they saw my background in the startup world and saw that, hey, like this guy can build stuff, and this guy can build out a new product. So that's what I sold. I absolutely smashed my ramp. I really like locked in. I put in so many reps. I was in so many calls, literally back to back, like every single day, discoveries and demos. And I did like 360% of my ramp. And then I did like 180% of my H1 target, finished the year on 151%, and then went into my second year and did 149%. And so yeah, my earnings across those 2 years went like 180K, 200K. In the space of 7 years, I went from cold calling, making 16 grand in this telesales role, cold calling 8 hours a day, to then building this career, having this crazy trials and tribulations and this amazing startup experience, and then going to the enterprise world, and was able to then, establish myself as one of the best AEs in the company, and one of the highest performing AEs in the industry even. At the end of 2025, I decided, hey, look, I want to build a business. I built the side business as a side hustle, trained 200 AEs over the period of a year and a half. And I was like, look, this is what I want to do. This is what I find rewarding. And this is what I just kind of see for my future. And it gives me and my wife the freedom as well to run the business and travel the world and live where we want and have more control. And so that's what I do now. Now I train AEs. So if that story's been interesting, and if you kind of see yourself in that journey and somewhere along that journey, or trying to go on that journey, then that is what I help people with. That's what I've trained 250 AEs at this point on how to go from this place of uncertainty, inconsistency, and struggling, to a place of high performance, over delivering revenue and landing the best jobs in the industry as well, and becoming elite AEs and becoming the top performers and the top earners in the industry. So if that's something that you'd like to speak about and something you'd see alignment with what you've heard from me, then there's links in the description below where you can kind of click that and connect with me, and we can have a conversation. But other than that, this is the first of long form style video that I'm making on my YouTube channel. So this is the first of very many to come. Figured it made sense to start with the story. So here it is, all laid out. Been an amazing ride. Any questions in the comments, let me know. But we'll see you next time, and let me know if there's any videos, any topics you'd like me to cover. Cheers.